Welcome to Oakland Is. Oakland Is spotlights movers and shakers and image makers, people who make a difference every day in ordinary ways and in spectacular ways. Our special guests today are addressing the topic care planning for life's stages. Care planning for life's stages. We go through a lot of stages in our lives. Mrs. Mary Jane Hodges is the president of Alameda County Points of Life team. And she works with community relations as she's the community relations director at Acacia Creek Senior Living. That is a facility located in, could you tell us where that is located?
Yes, Acacia Creek is the newest retirement community located in the East Bay. We're in Union City. We're called a Continuum Care Retirement Community. We have all levels of care available at our community.
Wonderful. So regarding the points of life, there's something called points of life. Who is Points of Life?
Actually, Points of Life is a collaborative of senior providers that their goal is to educate the seniors, the adult children, and the community in general about senior issues and ways to solve problems that may come up as we age.
Wonderful. When and why was the organization founded?
Actually, the organization was founded by Richard Wexler about 2 years ago. He had gone through some personal changes in his family. He was married late, had children late, and both his parents and one of his wife's parents became seriously ill at the same time. And he, being highly educated, an attorney and such, he didn't really understand what was going on in the senior community and how to get services. So they were leading a very stressful life, and through this process, he decided it was really important that people were educated on what's available for seniors in their community and how you actually do get help and what the planning process should be.
Wonderful. What is the mission of Points of Life?
The real mission of Points of Life is to educate, and not only the seniors, but the senior helpers, your family, could be your caregivers, your children, your grandchildren, because everyone ages at a different rate, a different place and time. It's important that you know that options are out there and available.
What events and services do you offer?
Actually, Points of Life does presentations in community activities, community arenas. They also do into employers, because what we've found, and the research shows, is that employers lose a lot of hours from their workers being gone to help their parents. And so by educating the employers, the adult children, what you do is you give them options so that there's a plan before there's a crisis.
Wonderful. What geographic area do you serve?
Actually, I'm the president of the Alameda chapter, but there are 7 other counties that have chapters. So Contra Costa County, San Mateo, Santa Clara, Marin, and San Francisco. There are chapters in all the counties that work towards educating people on what services are available for seniors.
And these are all under the umbrella of Points of Life?
Yes, they are. They're chapters, county chapters.
So what does aging in place mean?
Well, that's really an interesting question. Aging in place means that you stay at home and just age there. I mean, I think we all have friends and family who live in their homes, have lived there for 40 or 50 years, and they want to stay there.
Right. Very good. What is senior housing?
Senior housing is another option for seniors to be able to age. And what senior housing offers are different kinds of communities where you're not isolated in your home, but you have actually new friends and new activities and things to do with other seniors.
Is there more than one type of senior community?
Yes, there is. Actually, most senior communities are licensed by the state of California. So if you look at the communities that are available within Alameda County, they go in size ranges. So the smallest size would be a board and care which a board and care would be in a private home and would have up to 6 people. The next step would pop up from 6 to 15, which also would be licensed by the state, and they would have other requirements. And then from that point on, you move up into communities that could be as high as 200 people living. But the benefit of it all is you have people that you're living with, you have services available to you, and you're not sitting at home by yourself.
And you have choices.
And you have choices. That's the key thing.
Are there any age qualifications?
Most senior communities, if it is licensed by the state of California, it is 60 plus. In some cases, it's 55 plus, depending on how your licensing is done.
What do senior communities provide that a person cannot get in their home?
Well, I always like to say is that you're not isolated, so you have a lot more activities. But depending on how the community is licensed, you can move into a senior apartment complex where you just have services for senior and you don't have any outside activities other than what's in the community. Then there's assisted living, and when you move into assisted living community, you are helped with your activities of daily living. And that would be maybe possibly bathing, dressing, showering, medication management. So assisted living is one form of community. And then there's also some of our seniors, and actually young seniors, need some dementia help. And so you would get that type of activities, things that were geared to you if you were having some memory issues. And the final type of senior housing would be that skilled nursing where you would need the 24-hour care.
And then let's see, what kind of services would a person get if they moved to a senior community?
Well, once again, it depends on what kind of community you move to. There are the senior apartments, which would be just activities. Assisted living, you would get those help with assisted living, your activities of daily living. And then if you need the dementia care, you'd get help with dementia care. And skilled nursing is around the clock. So it really is what you're looking for. There's actually a place for everyone, because everyone's needs are different. If you are living in your home and you just want to have that activities, that friendship, and be with people, an independent living apartment or community would be a place for you.
Thank you. So what is the cost, what is the cost of living in a senior community, and who pays it?
Oh, that's a really good one, because their costs range from very low to very high. And it depends on what your level of care is. If you moved into an independent community, and that's usually an apartment complex, your rent, depending on where it is and location, could be anywhere from maybe $500 if you're on SSI, all the way up to $5,000, depending on what your location is. What we found is that the more services you need or require, the higher the cost. Average assisted living community, probably you can get into for about $2,500 to $3,000 a month, and it goes up from there.
So what is the importance of a senior community being licensed?
Oh, the state requirements are very, very important. The benefits that you get from being licensed is the fact the state really watches the P's and Q's of the community. They make sure that you take care of proper medication management, you're obeying all the health codes and all the employment codes.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Elaine Inslee, you're the senior real estate specialist.
Yes.
What is a senior real estate specialist?
Well, a senior real estate specialist is, as myself, I've been a realtor for 25 years now, and I specialize in helping seniors and helping their families when this move takes place, to help to coordinate organizing the move and the people that come into their lives, making sure that they have a attorney for a will or a trust, that if they need to do a reverse exchange, I can refer them for the reverse exchange. If the house needs to be painted or work needs to be done, if they're going to be selling their house, then I will work with them to coordinate all of the aspects of selling the property.
Let's see, do you help a person determine the value of their home?
Oh, sure. That's
Okay.
part of my job as a realtor.
And how do you prepare a home for sale?
That's a good question. It really depends on what's needed on the home. A lot of times it might just need a coat of paint. Often, though, there's a lot of collections that people have. They've collected a lot of things, and that has to be sorted through. And that is one of the largest pieces in the puzzle, is to get the family together, to coordinate with the senior member on what is going to stay and what is going to go and where it's going to go.
What is staging a home? How does that help?
Well, a home that's professionally staged shows beautifully, and people will desire to purchase a home that looks beautiful.
What is the market like right now? And what sells a house in today's market?
By putting a for sale sign out in front of it today. Right now, the inventory is extremely low.
Oh, I
So
see.
there's multiple offers and overbids on almost every property on the market. So
Wow.
this is an excellent time for people to be thinking about putting their homes on the market.
Is it better to rent the folks' house out and wait for out this market, or should one sell now?
It depends on what their situation is and if the senior person really wants to let the house go at this time. But if it's all go with the family, it's a good time to sell the house.
How do I decide on a realtor? Aren't they all the same?
No, they're not. I would go with their years of experience, their education, and in this case, working with a senior, somebody who has received the senior real estate specialization from the National Association of Realtors.
Thank you so much as we wrap up, and thank you to both of you. You're loaded with information, and I hope that you'll be able to be contacted by the information that's on the screen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And as we wrap up, we'll come back with part 2. Welcome back to part 2 of Oakland Is. In this segment, we have Ms. Denise Williams Churchill, who is a geriatric care manager. And we have Ms. Ruby Rubio, who is a client care director, Home Instead Home Care, Instead Home Care.
Senior care.
Senior care.
Yes.
Okay, so client care director, Home
Instead senior care.
Instead, INSTEAD?
Yes, ma'am.
Instead Home Care. Okay, we'll find out more about that.
Thank you.
So let's see, Mrs. Churchill.
Yes.
What is a geriatric care manager?
A geriatric care manager is an individual who assess individuals who are at risk in their homes. My effort is to keep individuals within their home and to age gracefully within their home safely and functionally. So as a geriatric care manager, I address the needs of the individuals as well as caregivers of individuals or loved ones of individuals who have a mom or a dad or an aunt or an uncle who's in their home and they want to maintain their stability and functional mobility within their home, but it's not safe. So what I do is I come out and I manage their care with regards to all the needs that are involved in keeping them safe and functional within their home.
Let's see, I'll go to Mrs. Rubio and I'll just ask you one as a client care director. How do you know if your loved ones need in-home care?
How to tell that an aging loved one needs care is not always easy. Protecting their independence or realization of accepting the need for help at home would prove barriers that needs to be addressed. But there are common signs that would actually, we need to look into, such as physical changes. There's some weight loss due to not eating or loss of appetite. There are changes in their habits. You can see some personal hygiene changes. They are not bathing regularly no more as they used to. They use the same clothes, even though they're soiled. There are some confusion and forgetfulness. They would have difficulty getting to scheduled appointments, or they would say, oh, I didn't eat today. But they did, and at the same time, they seem to forget taking their medications at the right time. So these are just common signs that we will have to look into and ask ourselves, is it really time? And the first logical step to take into would be thinking of, what do my loved one need? And the first thing would be in-home care, because one of our goals is to let them age in place and let them remain in their homes for the longest period of time.
Thank you. Ms. Churchill, what is the range of services you have to offer as a geriatric care manager?
My responsibility is to, of course, manage their care in every aspect of the needs. So the first thing I would do would come out and do an assessment. Usually one calls me after there has been some kind of unstable environment that they're in. They've had a fall, or as Ruby was saying, they've changed in a lot of their functional mobility patterns. So after I've made that assessment, then I work out a plan to either keep them in that environment with support systems and networking with the various support systems here within Alameda County, or assess the need for transitioning. Not only do I do that in keeping them in their home, but I also, sometimes there's a need to maybe interface with physicians or other caregivers that are providing the care for them. So that's part of what it is that I do as well.
So Ms. Rubio, what type of services does an in-home care company provide?
We provide different services. We do have personal care services wherein we assist with their activities of daily living, which would include feeding, dressing, bathing, incontinent care, mobility, and medication reminders. Also, companionship services, wherein there would be the needed interaction and activities provided for them to be able to retain their physical and mental health. And at the same time, we do have home helper services, which would assist with different household tasks, like light housekeeping, laundry, going grocery shopping, and also provide incidental transportation for them.
Wonderful. What is a geriatric evaluation, Ms. Rubio? Ms. Churchill.
Okay.
Yes, excuse me.
A geriatric evaluation is to come in to do the assessment. The situation may be such as this. They've been living here for a very long time. However, this is a loved one maybe giving me the scenario. However, they've exhibited some changes in their mentation. They've exhibited some changes in their functional mobility. Their home is not safe anymore because they're experiencing more falls. So the evaluation would include coming in, doing the assessment, making whatever the contacts with regards, as I said this before, with networking within the community, whether it may be services that Ruby may be offering, meal preparation, or daily activities such as bathing, a modification of their home where they may need some bathroom safety modifications, or a change in some of the home environments to keep them from falling. They may need some adaptive equipment things. A lot of times, they may need a reassessment of their medication regimen, and so that would mean interfacing with nursing or their physicians to make that happen. But the end result is to keep them safe, to keep them functional, to to keep them within that environment as long as possible before transitioning to a higher level of care.
Thank you. Ms. Rubio, how do you choose and evaluate an in-home care provider?
That's the reason why I do have here a brochure. It's a brochure that is from the National Private Duty Association. It is a very good informational tool that will help your family member decide on making an informed decision on, selecting a home care for their loved one. It gives you a differentiation of what a full service agency is, what a referral agency is, and what encompasses hiring somebody privately to work for you.
Okay, thank you. What is the difference between a GCM, geriatric care manager, and a caregiver?
Okay, a geriatric care manager does specifically that. They manage the care. So that would mean networking with the community regarding the specific needs of that individual to keep them, as I said, safe and functional within the home. A caregiver would be one of the many resources that I would use in order to provide the assistance for them, providing specific care, whether it be bathing, dressing, toileting, grooming, hygiene, homemaking skills, those kind of things. That's the difference between the geriatric care manager who manages all the services versus the caregiver who provides the specific service for the individual.
And you make sure that that person does the provision.
Absolutely. I do the assessment to find out what the specific needs are initially, and then I make the contacts to make that all happen. And of course, I supervise that as a manager for that individual.
So, Ms. Churchill, I'll ask you this question also. Who usually contacts you for help?
Normally, it is the loved ones of that individual. Oftentimes, the individual does not really recognize that their functional mobility and their safety is compromised, or they don't want to make that realization. So usually it's the loved ones that call me and say, Denise, I want you to go see my mom, my aunt, uncle, whatever, because he is exhibiting these changes, and I want you to make that, that assessment and evaluation for me.
How does someone normally find a geriatric care manager?
There is a website, and it's a website that you can go on to for the National Association for Certified Geriatric Care Managers. National Association for Certified Geriatric Care Managers. You go onto that website, they'll give, because we're all located across the country, you'll find, and it'll indicate you where the geriatric care managers are in your area, and then that's how we're found.
So, Ms. Rubio, why shouldn't I hire a private caregiver instead of hiring an agency?
Basically, if you go through an agency, we actually are what we call ourselves full service. So the agency is basically the employer. We are responsible for training, for screening, for doing background check on our caregivers. We are also responsible to have backup caregivers as well, if just in case, the caregiver that's assigned to a specific case is ill or has an emergency. And we do, do our drug testing, we do our professional and reference checks as well, and the caregivers are considered our employees. So we are the ones responsible for withholding the taxes. So versus hiring privately, the consumer will turn out to be the employer. So they will have to assume all of the responsibilities that an agency does.
So, Ms. Rubio, what do you say to parents if they don't think they need help?
That is always a struggle for loved ones. But what we often would say or offer would for them to try us a couple of days, a couple of hours, and then see how it works. And most often, they would turn out to like the caregiver or even love the caregiver. And they will end up continuing with service. Not just that, they will add on hours and add on days. So it's always a trial run, and then they will see the benefit that they would get out of it.
How much does it cost for in-home care?
Our prices ranges actually from, it could be $23.50 to $26.50 per hour, but that is depending the level of care. We also do our own assessment for us to be able to find out what are the services needed. And it's just like the assessment that Denise would do as well. So it all depends on the level of care.
How do parents pay for in-home care if they can't afford it?
Basically, they do pay our services privately, or if they do have long-term care insurance, like CalPERS, for example, or if they would want to do reverse mortgage, if, you know, that's something that's possible, that can pay for our services.
And I think I have time for one last question. How do you decide whether it's time for parents to move into assisted living?
Usually what happens is it always comes out due to financial concerns, that their finances are depleting and all that. And also if they would be more interested in meeting other people, engaging in more activities, assisted living setting would provide all those care. Although care in the home, our caregivers would also provide that, but it's just within the two of them. So it all depends. It has a lot of factors, and usually those are the factors to consider.
Thank you both so much for your expertise, because you're just loaded with information.
Thank you.
And we'll be able to get more by going to the website.
Correct.
What is that website again?
The website for the geriatric care managers is the National Association of Certified Geriatric Care Managers.
Thank you both.
Thank you.